Well, the most important thing, I think, is that Black history is also connected to the Black present, and you can make an argument connected to the Black future. When Black history was first initiated, and it started off as Negro History Week, it was very much tied to the conditions that African Americans were facing in a contemporary way, but giving it a historic context. And that's what's really important about Black History Month, is that when we think about slavery or we think about the Civil War, those should not be seen as some far distant cutoff from our present, but that they served as a context and as the base for much of what we're still dealing with today. The other thing about Black History Month is that it's not just for African Americans, and that in fact it's American history.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. The league is made up of a lot of black guys, so to honor that and understand it is pretty simplistic. How would you ignore that? But more importantly, we live in a racist country that hasn't figured it out yet, and it's always important to bring attention to it, even if it angers some people. The point is that you have to keep it in front of everybody's nose to understand it still hadn't been taken care of, and we have a lot of work to do.
There is no question that there is a deliberate effort not only to dumb down our children, but to dumb down the American people.
You gonna learn today.
1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Are you ready?
This ain't the radio.
Are you ready?
Let's go. The Street Report Podcast.
He raps for the DMV to the fullest.
Hosted by Easy.
Mr. President.
It is great to talk to you.
Raw and uncut.
I'll let your boys, it's Jay-Z.
DJ Khaled.
What up, though? It's your boy, Big Snoop, Double G.
Rocking out with my nephew, Easy Street.
Easy Street.
The Street Report Podcast. Hosted by Easy.
The Street Report is a podcast that primarily focuses on African American culture and a whole lot more. Make sure you subscribe to The Street Report wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher. Please hit that button and subscribe. I'll be dropping a brand new podcast every week. You might want to turn on your notifications. Also follow @EasyStreet on Twitter and Instagram. The official website for The Street Report is EasyStreetShow.com. In the studio with the Honorable Mayor for Life. So good to see you, sir.
It's so good to see you. Easy Street, we go back so many years.
Yes, we do.
Out in the community. With this basketball game at Howard University.
Yes, sir.
And you have always been community-minded. Wherever you've been, whatever station you were in, it's community-minded. And I want to talk today a little bit about my next efforts, which will be to save black boys. We need black men to step to the plate. I was talking with a lady from Baltimore. She said she has a nonprofit organization involving tutoring, etc., and she can't find hardly many black men to do anything. I go to Templar Berry, Bishop Staples, Southern Avenue. We've agreed that the Temple would adopt Ballou Senior High School and Hart Feeder School, middle school. We're going to match up for each of those students at Ballou and at Hart, black men and black women. Not only just to tutor or be a role model, but to go adopt a family. We go to the family's house and see what their living conditions are and why kids can't study because they got no place to study. And that's very important. I've been thinking about this long before President Obama talked about my brother's keeper.
Right.
Because I have 6 African-American godchildren, and all of them in need of love and help, etc. One of them in particular, I won't call his name, but we got him to the 12th grade at Ballou. And the second semester, he said, Mr. Berry, I'm gone. They're not teaching me anything here. Went to the streets. He had just gotten probation from being in a carry-out when somebody yoked somebody. They charged him with an accessory. And so he was on probation. His mother, who's Chanel Spencer, has four sons from 26 to 14, called me all disturbed. She said, the probation report indicates that he has drugs, cocaine, in his system. I called him, I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, Mr. Berry, I'm not using cocaine. I occasionally bag cocaine. He said, but I can't get a job anywhere. You all don't have enough money to give me and buy things. My mother certainly doesn't have the money. And that's the plight of a lot of young men out here. They have no hope and no idea. But he came out of jail, and now he's turned his whole life around. He joined a church about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Templar Berry. He's in school at Ballou State. He bugged his mother and me every day. We got to get me back in school, get me back in school. And so we hope that other young men can turn their life around and start seeing some hope and some help. We have young men in low-income communities planning their funeral because seeing so many of their friends shot down and killed. So that's going to be our next movement. I know you'll be right there with us.
Yes, sir. Whatever you need.
To inspire these people to do it.
Please let me know whatever it is I can do to help out with that cause.
It's 82% of the families in Ward 8 are headed by female heads of household. I admire those black women, but you need a man in the house.
Oh, yes.
They have a man, a young boy, going to be a man. Do you realize, Easy, that there are people in low-income communities, black boys, who have never, ever seen a black man get up and go to work? I've never seen that. They go outside to see the drug dealer somewhere. They go to school, teachers sometimes don't care about them. They come back home and watch these videos. Can you imagine Grand Theft Auto being bought by any parent or any young person, where you have people shooting police, and you say, well, why they don't like the police? They, the police have done some wrong things too, but that's the kind of image we got to stop. That they're more to life than basketball players, than football players, and rappers. They're more to life than that. There's a big world out here for you. I remember last summer, I took about 40 young people up 16th Street, where the black middle class lives. And they were looking out there from windows and said, Mr. Berry, do black people live in those kind of homes? I said, sure they do. Is you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. I know some of the people who live there. I said, but they got those homes because they worked hard. They had to look over their shoulders at the police coming and get them. We need more images like that, where these black boys, and black girls too, but it's prevalent among black boys. We have the highest unemployment among black young boys and men, the highest dropout rate, the highest homeless rate, the highest everything that's negative. And this community has a responsibility. There are those who say, well, it takes a village to raise a child, but they won't become part of the village.
Right.
They just talk about it. I've learned in the street that there are several kinds of people. There are people who watch things happen. There are people who make things happen. And there are people who don't know what's happening. And we have too many people on both of those, watch happening and don't know what's happening. Let's make things happen. Make life easier for some of our young men and women. Give them a sense of hope and the resources. We spend $11 billion in the D.C. government, and not a lot of it goes to young people except the schools. We need to do a whole bunch. These preachers need to, and a lot of them are doing this, stand up in their pulpits and talk to these black men if they're there. Most of their churches don't have a large number of black men because these young people just don't have any faith in anybody. And at Templar Berry, we have the largest number of young black men and women than any other congregation because Bishop Staples and all the people there, including myself, encourage that kind of thing. But that's if we don't do something about this generation, we're going to be suffering in the future.
Right, we've been saying that for a while now, though.
With all these black men, we've got to do something, though.
Right.
I know you've done something. I got to think, get people like yourself to brainstorm on what else we really need to do. I'll give you some example that Gonzaga does. Gonzaga was a Catholic-rated high school on North Capitol Street. They have father-sons dinner. And what they do for those boys, that don't have a father, they get other parents, black men and black men, to be fathers for that event. That's a good start, but it got to be a continuation of going on, because you around what you know. If you see something and you know something, it's how you're going to think. I read a book the other day. You are what you think. If you think you're not nothing, you'll be nothing. If you think you can't succeed, you won't succeed. If you think you can't take care of life's trials and tribulation, you won't. And too many of our young men have not had a role model. That's why I do all I can to be a strong black man. I don't fear but one person. That's God. And the rest of the people in this city, I don't get bent out of shape about all of that, because I know that God has a mission for all of us who want to stand up. I want these black men and young people to see. We got too many black men out here, Easy Street, that's having babies, 3 or 4 babies here, there, everywhere. We won't take care of them. That's not right.
No, that's part of the problem.
You know, that's not right.
There's no accountability or responsibility.
Nothing. They just go with laissez-faire. We just do this at random. We've got to change that. When I was growing up, it was almost like I won't say a sin, but almost like an outcast to be pregnant before marriage. We got now that nobody even thinks about that, being pregnant, teenage pregnancy. Here, young people, I know they love these kids they have, but they don't have the means to do anything to help them. I was talking with a guy the other day. He said, help me do this, help me do that. And he has a baby that's 8 months old and another one that's 6 months now. I said, so why you do that? You don't even have a job yourself. He said, well, she wanted to. I said, well, make her work then. She didn't want to work. That's not typical, but it's an example of what we got to do to turn this around. And you live by your examples. People got to see me. I've had my trials and tribulations like any human being. I've had my personal faults like anybody else. But overall, I've been a good role model for black men, even white people, in terms of how you get to live your life. I go to church every Sunday. There are a couple of Sundays I may not go. I may stay and watch a football game occasionally, but I go to an early service. And I'm serving in the church. I'm not just there, but when they're dressing. And I happen to believe in a mighty God. I've not always felt that way. I was trained as a scientist. We grew up dirt poor in Mississippi. We didn't have any running water in that house. Didn't have any electricity in that house. Didn't have anything except a tin roof. And if you've ever been in a tin roof when it rains, you can't sleep at night because it's just pumping down on you. But we overcame that. My mother went to the 3rd grade or 4th grade. Father went to 3rd or 4th grade. And my mother always taught me, even when we were in the cotton fields, dragging me on her sack, would always say to me when I got well enough to understand it, you got to get an education. You can be anything you want to be. Now here's a lady who's a domestic, 3rd and 4th grade, telling me, you got to be. Too many of these parents today won't give their kids any sense of hope. And that's not just isolatedly. And you understand it because you're out there in the community. A lot of other people understand it. And before I continue, I got to thank Kathy Hughes. Kathy Hughes is a giant of a woman. And I remember 66, 67, sometime like that. Kathy and Dewey were over at WL, owned by a white man. We managed to buy the station. And Kathy wanted to move to 4th and H, Northeast, what she called Radio Vision. And the city, under my leadership, lent us $75,000. I ain't worried about getting paid back because we waste that much money on other junk that happens. And she began with one station. And now there are 50-some stations around the nation. And if people ought to come up here and see this operation, that a black man, Alfred, and a black woman can team up and put together. Look at all this equipment. Look at everything around here. Look at people like yourself.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Give an opportunity. It's a big blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a big blessing. So my book is about the truth. It's about talking about me from my own words. Everything that's written about me, but not about me, the person. Not about my upbringing. What shaped my character. What shaped my beliefs. What did all these things to lead me to do what I've been able to do. With God's help. That is the foundation for D.C. When I came in 65, Easy Street, Washington was a little sleepy southern town. You didn't have any downtown buildings. Didn't have any tall buildings. Didn't have West End. Didn't have Georgetown. Didn't have Northeast and 8th Street. Didn't have any of that at all. And so look at Washington now. Look at U Street. It's been gentrified, but it's still there.
Yeah, we want to talk about that too.
Gallery Place, Massachusetts Avenue, all these places in Bloomingdale been gentrified. But that's a problem all over America, gentrification. And I don't mind it as long as it doesn't displace people who've been there.
But isn't that kind of like impossible to have gentrification without displacing some people?
It's impossible. You know why? Because in Ward 8, for instance, 75% of the people are renters, or 25% are homeowners. And so I'm pushing home ownership. Because if you own your home, they can't displace you. Now, what they're doing with seniors, I understand that, don't like it. Seniors might have had their home for 30, 35 years, 25 years. They come in and offer them $300,000 or $400,000 for their home. And what, you know, they're going on to heaven sometime soon, and they take it. So we got to do a lot more from the beginning of getting black people with meaningful jobs that they can buy their homes, that they can own homes.
One of the biggest problems when we're talking about gentrification is affordable homes. That's one of the big problems that I'm hearing about in the community. I've done several shows on it, and people are talking about the fact that, you know, they're not able to afford, you know, now what's available. Can you talk about that?
Well, I think you're right about that. Now, we've been very blessed in Ward 8 with my leadership to renovate about 10,000 new remodel apartments that's affordable. We've been trying very hard to get developers to do high quality, low income, not low income, moderate income places. Got one developer out there, a black guy, grew up in Berry Farms, named Dante Lee. He's doing homes at almost $199,000, which is affordable. But we have too many black people can't get in this show now.
Right. Well, it's very obvious.
Can't
Anacostia is changing very rapidly. Yeah. I ride in that community every Sunday on my way to church, and now
where do you go?
Union Temple.
Oh, that's right. I thought. But anyway,
my question to you is this:
I got to protect the people if I can.
Yes, definitely, and we appreciate that. My question is this: why now? I mean, I've been going to church over there for 15 years. Why do we got the white cop sitting right there now on MLK? Why do we got to have the police presence now when they didn't have that 10 or 15 years ago?
Because white people moving in.
Right.
I mean, seriously, it's 16th and W, U Street, V Street. Because of this capitalistic society, I can't do so much. What I do intend to do in Ward 8, we've got about 2,000 units that are boarded up, these apartment buildings. I want to take the boards off, turn them into condominium, and have home ownership. Now, a lot of black folks think that condominiums are like apartments, but they're not. Mm-hmm. That's an urban form of home ownership. We don't have much land, so you're not going to get these detached houses for so much. I'm renting a detached house, but I've been blessed to be able to find one, and that has to be done.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you this. You mentioned you like to watch football on Sundays. Of course, we all do. We don't have a winning team in D.C.
It's awful.
With the Redskins, but I wanted to ask you this. Where do you stand on the use of the word Redskin?
Now, first of all, we have a terrible team this year, last year, and before. I think we are 2-7 6-2 now.
We ain't going to the playoffs, man. That's all that matters.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going to the playoffs.
Even if RG comes back, not going anywhere. That's what I call the Dan Snyder curse. One for moving the team out of D.C. He didn't do it. Previous owner did. I have always been fighting against the Redskins name. I don't even call it that unless I have to. I call it the hometown team. My suggestion would be the Washington Warriors.
You know what? That is the name of my fantasy football team.
Yeah,
The Washington Warriors.
That's great. Washington Warriors. You don't have to change the insignia or anything. It's just a matter of Dan Snyder stop being so bullish and so insensitive to that. Dan Snyder went out here among the Native Americans trying to buy their support.
Oh, we see that.
They took that money.
They in the press box with them at the game, with the hat on and everything.
That's right.
Like we can't see through that.
They took that money and just said, heck with you, Dan Snyder, about this name. But I can't believe in 2014, you got the President of the United States of America saying, change the name. Got the Commissioner of Football, change the name. You got all these citizens, change the name. But we're gonna make it. We're gonna get that name changed. It's a matter of time.
I was at Busboy and Poets downtown, and I was walking out of a voting event, and I saw this book right here, Mayor for Life: The Incredible Story of Marion Berry Jr. And I was gonna walk past it, but I said, no, man, I got to get this book.
That's right.
I bought this book. I was like, man, and then look at here. You are here today to talk about this book. Can I get you to please sign this? And I'm so glad that
you're going to get that, easy. You know better than that.
Sign that. And let's talk about...
I think I got a shop here.
Yeah, I got one right here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's great. I'd wait till we concentrate on that.
This book, you alluded to it earlier. And we want people to go out there and buy the book. Of course, it's available on Amazon, probably Barnes & Nobles. We know it's at Busboy and Poets because that's where I bought my copy.
Amazon.com is the easiest way to do it.
Send it right to your house.
And Barnes & Noble, I think it's sold out.
Okay.
We were at Costco's about a month ago, sold 1,000 books. But we're still working to try to get it to everybody.
Why is this book important?
Well, people write books for various reasons. I wrote this book to get the truth out about Marion Berry, not the garbage you hear on a 15-second sound bite, or not the junk you read in the Washington Post, etc. So that could be an inspiration to other people. If I can come out of the poverty the way I did, you can do it too. I also wanted to be educational, correct the record. Because I have this philosophy, Easy Street, that as long as a lion tells a story, he will always be king of the jungle. We got to tell our story. Black boys and girls, and white people too, got to know our story. It's not in our history books. If you read the D.C. history, you find very little in a predominantly black city in terms of education. 90% of our students are black. And you don't read about us, don't know about us. We got Frederick Douglass's house out in Anacostia. And as you know, very few young people know anything about Frederick Douglass. How in 1848, he spoke eloquently when he said, power concedes nothing without a man. It never has, and it never will. And that's what we just got to do. And this book sort of depicts that struggle. I also give my successes too, because I've become the foremost political strategist in America, black or white. With 16 years as mayor, having 13 elections, only lost one. That's a story of success. But it took tenacity. I remember in 1978, I ran against Walter Washington and Tucker. I was supposed to come in third. Everybody said, Marion Berry ain't going nowhere. He's coming in third. But because of the brilliance of Ivan O'Donnell and some other people, we came in first. And that's because of our tenacity, our endurance, our belief in ourselves and belief in God. And Reverend Wilson talks about that.
Let's talk about endurance really quick because, I'm aware of your story. And you're absolutely right when you say, you felt like your story is inspiring. I'm inspired by your story myself. But to be able to endure all the things that you did, I mean, with everything, how did you endure all that?
Well, I believe very much in prayer. I've always believed that because I was trained as a scientist, so we believe in evolution and all that kind of stuff. But I looked around and saw the mighty things that God has done. And I know the ways of the enemy. The enemy wants to discredit you, want to discombobulate you, want to destroy you, want to cut you off from your constituency. You know that. Mm-hmm. It's like, say, football. You know how they're going to play. If you know how they're going to play, you don't fall right into it. I have this philosophy, if you find yourself in a hole, however you got there, where you push yourself into it or fill in it, the first thing you do is stop digging. Stop digging. Then you try to figure out how to get out. And so it's a belief in God. It's a tenacity. I've had some dark nights and days when I wanted to just stop, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. I made up my mind. If you think you can, you will. If you think you won't, you won't. If you think you can do this and work hard at it, you can succeed. Also, I don't believe in judging the future by the past, because Bishop Staples talks about the fact that he was using drugs and heroin stripes and that. He's not ashamed of that. But what he is happy that God delivered him. Well, Wilson had his ups and downs. Good pastor, good friend of mine. And we all had the same characteristics of believing in God, not giving up. A lot of people miss that blessing because they right around the corner, they give up too quickly. You can't give up. I remember about a couple of years ago, I was doing something at somebody's house trying to fix something for them. They just gave up. They just gave up. I said, you can't give up. Let's keep working on it. And sure enough, we were able to fix out whatever. I can't remember now exactly what it was, but it was something that happened. We just can't give up. You got to make up your mind you're not going to give up. Make up your mind you're not going to be on the pity pot. Make up your mind you're not going to be a victim, that you're going to stand up in spite of circumstances. As I said, I've had some dark days and dark nights, but, you know, when I was in the hospital with this serious illness that takes a third of people out, I had some very dark days and very dark nights. I thought I wouldn't make it. But I thought about God, and I prayed myself hard. I had friends of mine who came and prayed with me. But I decided I want to live in my own mind.
Right.
We know that living and dying has a lot to do with your mind, too. There are people who just give up on life, and they die. But I wouldn't refuse to give up on life. I said, God, if it's your will, I'll be here. And I'm going to stay here. And I got into physical therapy, pushed myself so hard that the people at National Rehab said, slow down a little bit. Don't go so hard. Don't push so hard. You know, and I just got that tenacity.
Well, we appreciate it.
And other people can get it, too. I talked to Chris about that. He's 34 years old. I said, Chris, you have a hard time being my son. Mm-hmm. And that's true of most sons and daughters of high-profile people. I said, so, but you can succeed in spite of it all. When things get bad for you, just call on yourself and God. Mm-hmm. He's a Muslim, so call on Allah to do that. And a young man got to just do that, just stand up. And he has that kind of tenacity that I have, because the apples don't fall far from the tree.
Right.
You know, these apples I know about.
Well, we thank God for your tenacity, for your strength, for your endurance, because, you know, like I said, I've definitely been inspired by your life and your works. I want to switch gears and talk about politics in D.C.
All right.
Hi, this is Doc Walker calling in for Marion Berry.
Okay, Doc Walker. Hey, welcome to the Easy Street Show. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, man. As long as the man is good, I'm good.
Hey, Doc, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing real good, man.
You know, I admired you so much when you played for the hometown team. I refuse to say Redskins.
I understand that.
He's not saying Redskins no more.
I miss our trip to the Atlantic City watching Riddick Bowe and all the boxing. You were so you've been so instrumental in all the young boxers in our area.
Oh, I had the first
all of them.
Did you know I had the first Mayor's Boxing Cup where we invited about 30 teams.
We need to bring that back.
16.
Man.
We need to bring it back.
Oh, no doubt about it.
We had Larry Holmes who came, a number of other people.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray used to come by, inspire people. Sugar Ray Leonard, and it's gone in the demise now. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to work myself to death in saving these black men, bring back boxing.
Well, don't work yourself to death, please. We need your life.
I'm sorry.
We need your life.
You're right about it.
Go ahead, get to working, but we need your life.
You catch me,
right.
Man. So, Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just took treadmill test. I'm over here. You know, like your automobiles, you got to take your body through, get your 60,000-mile checkup. You know, I got to make sure that all the levels are good, and so you know, I'm doing that now. And I told them, they said, well, yeah, take a stress test. You got to do the nuclear this and all that. And I said, hold it, I got to call my man. And they said, good, that, you know, Dr. Nelson, all of them are fans. They said, Marion Berry? Oh, my goodness. And so everybody, all I got to do is throw your name out. They put me in a VIP suite.
I know they did.
Oh, man, they hooked me up, man. So I'm throwing you around. The needles didn't even hurt.
Hey, Doc, let me ask you this. What's one of your fondest moments of Mayor for Life, Marion Berry?
Well, the parade. It was hard to beat the NFC Championship game in '82, beating Dallas at RFK. You know, the parade, just knowing that the mayor's influence and, you know, had the mayor been in power, I really believe we'd have a retractable dome. Right now we'd be in the district, and we'd have Metro, and we'd have all the comforts of RFK, and we would be petitioning for a Super Bowl. But maybe those things are still possible, but I just know he was such an advocate for you know, pro sports and treating, you know, the athletes, you know, with respect and dignity, and also being an example of what we can accomplish when we're not playing sports. And I think he took it to the highest level.
You know, with that being said, hold on, I want to park there for a second. Would you rather that the Washington Redskins or the Washington football team be in D.C. than in Maryland?
For me personally, I would adore that idea of it being on the same grounds. If they knock RFK down and we're able to maybe surrender a few of those trees so you can actually see the water. It's a waterfront property.
It's great, Doc. Let me just say this. When I left for 98 and Shan Pratt-Ketty came in, I had Jack Kennedy Cook right on the verge of signing to keep the team here, build a stadium himself. The city would do all the infrastructure work, which cost about $60 million, $70 million. And I told her how eccentric Jack Kennedy Cook was.
Yep.
He didn't want to deal with no seconds, wanted to deal with the mayor.
Right.
And we had him just ready, and it didn't happen. But I would like to have had the Redskins here with a retractable dome. The city would have spent a lot of money for infrastructure, as long as Jack Kennedy Cook's going to pay for it, as he agreed to do.
Yeah.
And as long as Dan Snyder, who owned the team, participated. I maintain, Doc, as long as the Redskins are out of the District of Columbia, they're not going to have good luck.
Well,
That's
it
tough,
sure
man.
looks like that way, but it's been, 21 years or so since, the 91, the last World Championship team. It's sad because they've lost in a number of different ways, and now there's one person. It's been several different people, different teams, different quarterbacks, but I like Gruden. I like this group of guys. I think they give you superior effort. They just got to stop giving games away, and I hope that starts on Monday night.
All right, hey, we need it on Monday, man, for real.
Oh, yeah, we need it from the Cowboys. But, Doc, during your era, I think it was one of our greatest eras when we had the Hogs and we had all that going on as yourself, and we won football games. That's why I was glad to give a parade. I went to San Diego in 87.
21, Super Bowl 21.
When Doug Williams threw 5 straight touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
He came back. They traded him the next year. I mean, that kind of stuff ain't right to do. Yeah,
there are a lot of scabs. Now, we can pull off a lot of scabs. I mean, there's some unanswered questions. There's a lot that we can debate, rightfully so. I'm so happy Doug is back, but I would really hope that he can get in a position of influence and power, because he has so much to offer, and I'm not certain it is being utilized in a way that benefits him and the public.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's not. He went to Grambling, and that didn't work out for whatever reason.
Right.
But he has such talent. He was one of the first black quarterbacks, as you know, in the league. He demonstrated, because they have this saying that black athletes can't be quarterback because they don't know how to call plays.
Yeah.
All this other BS that we've heard. But he demonstrated very clearly. We had a winning team, took us to the Super Bowl, and against Denver. We beat them badly out there, and they traded him next year.
Yeah, it goes without saying that, Marlon Briscoe, James Shaq Harris, who was a mentor to Doug, Jefferson Street Joe, we've had guys, look at Warren Moon now in the Hall of Fame. It was a covert attack on African-American quarterbacks. It was done on every level, from Pop Warner to high school, college, junior high. All the coaches all fortified the belief. I had one in 1972 told me, and I played it as a freshman, he said, you could never go to college as a quarterback. I would suggest you move to wide receiver or safety. And I did, and I said, he's right. And that was in 71, 72 when he told me. And so that's why I'm so excited about what has happened, with Donovan's career, which I saw, Randall Cunningham's career, Robert Griffin III, who's here. It is something, because I know the flight, based on what James Shaq Harris has shared with me and Doug, what they had to endure when the 30-30s and the shows are done and they really reveal the assassination attempts and things, the stupidity, the level of stupidity, even deep into the 80s and 90s, people are going to be stunned. And I guarantee you that it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
What's amazing about what you just said, Doc, and we got to wrap up, is, we've heard the same thing happen in the education system to some of our young people that, you can't become the president, that you can't become a doctor or lawyer. Learn how to wash cars, or learn how to do some other odd job or construction or something like that. We've heard the same thing, though, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's been a national assault, no doubt about it. It's very clear to see who's targeted as the number one threat to this government that has been established not on the premise of what's equal, but on the premise of what's financially favorable to whoever is in office.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you. And Mayor for Life, Marion Berry, is going to reach out to you.
Yeah, Brian Carpenter, he's calling too. Mr. Mayor, he told me to tell you that he will definitely have your back.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right.
I talked about Chanel Spencer and her sons. One of them, who had left Ballou, he's turning his whole life around. He joined the church about a month ago, Templar Berry. He booked himself and me and Janelle by getting back into school. He's now at Ballou Stay. And so I don't want anybody to think that there's any payoff for being out there in that street.
Right.
But the payoff is when you turn your life around. And that's what he's done. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of him. I encourage him. And if anybody listening thinks they're going to mess with him, you got to see me first. Any police, anything, going to try to do anything, got to see me first. Because we got to encourage our young men to turn their lives around. I was at Tony Lee's church about 2 Sundays ago.
Community of Life.
Community of Hope.
Community of Hope.
Out in Oxon Hill.
Yes.
He was recognizing some young people who lived in the Anacostia, Chopper City area, and recognized them, gave them an award for turning their life around. We got to reward those who turn their lives around. As much as we criticize them, when they do good, let's thank them. Let's thank God for them. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with Chanel's son, not just with one, but several of them.
Wonderful.
Turn their life around.
Positive reinforcement.
God stepped in. All right.
Politics in D.C. We're on the verge. Midterm elections coming up on November 4th. Today is the very first day of early voting. The importance of early voting to you?
Well, the importance of voting, period. I was very, very dismayed on April 1st when in Ward 8 alone we lost 7,000 people between the time of 10 and this year. Ward 7 lost 11,000 people. Citywide, we had 34,000 people didn't go out to vote. It's important we go out to vote because Dr. King died for this. Fannie Lou Hamer got put off her land for doing this. And a lot of black people sit around and complain. That doesn't get you anywhere. Go out and vote of your choice. I'm not going to politicize it today because everybody knows my choice. But go out and vote.
Who's your choice?
You don't know my choice?
I don't. I mean, stop right there. I don't know who your choice is.
Mira Bowser is my choice for mayor.
Okay, why her?
Well, I've talked to her extensively. One, she's a fifth-generation Washingtonian, has deep roots in the community, cares deeply about us. She's a fighter. Her father, Joe Bowser, was my Ward 5 coordinator for my mayoral campaign in 7-8 when it wasn't easy for him to do that. And she shares my belief that we ought to offer some a job for everyone who wants one, that she offers 5,000 year-round summer jobs for people trying to take on their private sector to give jobs to our people. They won't do this. There are 300,000 private sector jobs and 350,000 federal jobs. Every day, that means over 700,000 people come into the District of Columbia. Only 30% of them are D.C. residents. And so she cares deeply. She's served well. And you got to compare. That's how it works. You know, you might have an ideal thing about what ought to happen, but you got to look at what is and look at the other candidates. And she's more sensitive. And I talk to her almost every other day about my experience. A lot of people don't know there's no textbook of being mayor. When I got to be mayor, I went to Atlanta, talked to Maynard Jackson, went to Richard Hatcher and Gary, went to Coleman Young in Detroit, learning what they knew. And so a lot of people who are mayor don't want to listen to experience. And she does that very well. And she will be the second female mayor of the District of Columbia. And it's about time that women came to their own.
Okay, hold on. Stop right there.
Yeah.
So we're talking about women in politics. All right, let's talk about the possibility that Hillary Clinton may be running for president in 2016. Speak on that.
You know I'm not getting to that one. You know, I've been around too long. To get into that one. I mean, 16 hasn't come, and 2, she hadn't decided. So I'm not going to be speculating what if. I don't believe in what if things. So I appreciate you for trying, but
well, I'd love to see her be the president.
Yeah, I
really
understand.
would. I think this country is ready for the very first female president.
That'll declare.
Qualified too.
That'll declare, and then then I might have a different view at that point.
Okay, so
also the Attorney General is up for re-election.
Yes.
For election in D.C. first time. Again, people got to go out and vote the choice. Vote,
right.
vote.
What do you say to the young person that may feel like that their vote doesn't count? Oh, the system is jacked up. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. So why should I even get out there? What do you say to that?
I give them examples of how a young person can change. I use Treyon White as an example. A Ward 8 resident, born and bred in Ward 8, went to Ballou Senior High School. He's now in the State Board of Education. And he demonstrated during 2012 that you can come together, can rally young people. He had 50 young people out working for his campaign and my campaign. And I can use other examples. Look at Treyon White, look at Marcus Batchelor, look at Derek Coleman, look at some others in Ward 8. They're the Trayon rights in Ward 7, in Ward 5, Ward 4, and all over in the black community. And it just shows you can do it. See, it's not enough to complain, Easy Street. I mean, anybody can complain.
Right.
I say to people, when you come to my office, did you vote? Well, no, I didn't get around to it. I said, I'll help you a little bit. But I'm not going to help you a whole lot because you don't have to hear enough about yourself to vote. Then you come expect me to deliver something to you when you haven't participated in the process. You got to be tough on these people. Let them know that voting is important, that's a way out of our misery, a way out of poverty to some extent, because it does make a difference who's mayor of this city. We've seen that. We've become a one-term mayor town from Sharon Pratt Kelly down, Anthony Williams would have lost. So, well, Wilson waited a little bit too late. But even in 3 months campaigning against Tony, we got 36% of the vote. Then you had Agent Fenton 1 term, Vincent Gray 1 term. And I've talked to Mira about this. I said, do you want to become a 1-term mayor? Just keep doing what they did wrong. And she said, no way, no way.
What'd they do wrong?
Well, I don't want to get too much in it, but when you run for office, you got to keep your promises. And you got to also look out for those who help get you to the dance. Some people forget who brought them to the dance and go everywhere but there. And I've never forgotten who brought me to the dance. And I've never forgotten who got me elected. I've never forgotten who voted for me. And I've taken some bold positions based on my constituency. And so that's what has to happen. And I think she's listening to that. And I'm going to do all I can to make sure that she's not a 1-term mayor. Because the continuity is broken. Just think about it. In 99, 4 years later, got a new mayor. The continuity is broken. From Agent Fenton to Vincent Gray, the continuity is broken. From Vincent Gray to Muriel Bowser, the continuity is broken. And so in government, we are a big government, $11 billion budget. $11 billion. Over 36,000 employees. Programs at the state, county, and local level. It's a big job. Now, I made it kind of look easy, but it's not easy. Easy street.
Michael Jordan of mayors.
Yeah. The Riddick Bowles of mayors, you know. And Riddick was a great friend of mine, too. He and Rock Newman.
You know that's
heavyweight champion. I remember I was out in Las Vegas when this crazy person, Bo was fighting Holyfield on the second fight. And this guy parachuted out of somewhere and hit the ring. And I was sitting next to Minister Farrakhan. His people grabbed us all and put covers on us. That broke Bo's stride. So he lost that fight. But he then came back on the third time and beat Holyfield. That's what's good about boxing. You can come back. Mm-hmm. Look at Sugar Ray Leonard. People thought he was gone and out. And he beat a whole bunch of folks. I think Ramon's favorite person, who was that he beat? Sugar Ray beat. Marvin Hagler. With the slick bald head, you know, and big old brute-looking guy.
Detroit guy.
Yeah, I was scared myself that Sugar Ray wouldn't get him. But when he got in there and never give up, he beat him. Beat some other people, too. See, one thing I like about boxing, it's an individual sport. You win or lose on your own might, your own self. Whereas football is a collective sport, basketball collective sport. I used to run track, and I did the long distance run, the 440 relay. I did the 100 too, but I'd rather do the 440 because it's a long distance run. Life is a long distance. One thing about these young people, I tell them, life is not just instant. A lot of these young people want to instantly make money. They like instant tea, instant coffee, instant sex, instant everything. And life is not like that. Sometimes I wear a Rolex from time to time. I'm a Rolex. And these guys look at me, Mr. Mayor, can I wear your thing? Sure, I can do it. But you know how long it took me to get this watch? 7 years of saving the little money I was making to get it. So life is not an instant thing. Some things it's a long term. It is not who finishes the race fast, but who endures the longest. Everybody knows that.
Right.
The race between the hare and the turtle, and the turtle just sort of creeps along. You know, the hare just dashed out there, and the turtle won because he endured the longest. That's about life. Endurance. Like you do, like I do. Endurance. That's what's important. So all these black boys listening, get some endurance in your system. Stand up for yourselves. Believe in yourselves. But you got to have role models, too, to help you. You can't believe in that what you never knew about. I had this philosophy, Easy Street, is that you can't teach what you don't know.
Uh-oh, hold on.
And you can't leave where you won't go.
Hello.
And all that's important. You can't teach what you don't know, and you can't leave where you won't go.
That's my life motto.
Yeah,
right
that's
there,
I like that. If everybody did that. Also, I have in my office no excuses, solutions. I don't want people to give me excuses. Why I didn't get this done? Why I didn't get that done? There are reasons sometimes. I'll give you an example. If you're late to a meeting because traffic was heavy and there was an accident someplace, well, that's a reason. Because you got up late, that's an excuse. Let's stop making excuses. Let's look at the reality of where we're going.
All right.
All
God
right?
bless you and your work. Thank you so much.
Leave the street. I mean, I just love you, man.
Love you more.
I mean, because you're always out there and you take Reverend Wilson's teachings very seriously about reaching back, helping out, regardless of what you do. You never forget where you came. And I like that about you and a lot of other people who get Radio 1. I like it about Kathy Hughes. She never forgot. I just saw her a few minutes ago. She's had some serious health problems. She said, I'm doing much better now, doing well. I had some serious health problems. I talked to her during my illness, and we both agreed that prayer is what saved us.
Yes,
prayer.
sir.
Genuine, hard prayer to the Lord.
Praying for both of y'all.
Whatever you call God.
The Street Report Podcast is being brought to you by, produced by, engineered by SIA Multimedia, a digital production company specializing in podcasts like this, social media strategies, and online social media commercials for your business. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SIA Multimedia, or visit our website at siamultimedia.com. That's CYA Multimedia.com. SIA Multimedia, making sure all eyes are on you.